Have you ever stared at your reflection before a big moment? Maybe a presentation, a first date, or even just walking into a crowded room and felt your heart pound like a drum solo? You're not alone. In that split second, when you wonder if everyone's eyes are tracking your every move or judging your every misstep, confidence can feel like a distant dream rather than something you actually possess. It's that tight knot in your stomach, that voice whispering, "What if you mess up?" that holds you back from stepping into the spotlight you deserve. Building self-confidence isn't about tricking yourself into thinking you're perfect. It's about embracing your authenticity and rewiring the stories you tell in your head. Over the next 3 acts, we'll walk through how to spark that inner courage, face the hurdles that threaten to derail you, and land on the other side with a newfound sense of belief in yourself. Imagine trading that jittery doubt for a steady, grounded feeling of, "I've got this." Whether you're pitching an idea at work, striking up a conversation with someone new, or simply owning your own worth in everyday life. Chapter 1: The Invisible Foundation of Confidence. Self-confidence often gets mistaken for arrogance or bravado, but at its core, it's really an invisible foundation built from small, daily wins. Think about the last time you walked away proud of yourself. Maybe you spoke up in a meeting when you'd usually stay silent, or you tried that intimidating spin class and discovered you weren't the worst one in the room. Those little victories, when acknowledged, begin to stack like building blocks, creating a sturdy base that whispers, "You can do this," when self-doubt tries to roar. Take my friend Maya, for instance. She dreaded networking events so much that she'd rehearse greetings in the mirror for days and still panic-stricken at the door. One evening, she forced herself to greet just one person, asking a simple question: "What brought you here tonight?" That single connection sparked a chain reaction. She realized she had valuable insights to share. She felt less alone in her anxiety, and the next event felt just a little less terrifying. No fireworks, no grand gestures, just one genuine conversation that eroded her fear of being misunderstood. Here's the thing. Your brain is constantly scanning for threats, and social situations top its list. It's wired to keep you safe, which in prehistoric times meant avoiding saber-toothed tigers, but today it translates to avoiding potential embarrassment. So that nervous flutter? It's simply your lizard brain doing its job. The power move comes when you shift perspective, treating that flutter as your body's way of saying, "Brace for opportunity," not "brace for disaster." When you reframe it, you step out of survival mode and into growth mode. By celebrating small acts of courage, raising your hand to ask a question, smiling at a stranger, volunteering to lead a mini project, you're logging wins in your mental database. Over time, those wins build a feedback loop. You try something new, you survive, you learn, you grow. Before you know it, the foundation is so solid that even a gust of self-doubt has to knock pretty hard to shake you. And that, my friend, is where true self-confidence begins. In the next chapter, we'll dive into the common confidence killers lurking in your thought patterns and how to flip the script so those inner critics become your co-creators instead of your saboteurs. Chapter 2: The Enemies in Your Head. Here's a truth bomb no one really talks about. Most of the time, the person tearing us down the hardest is us. That voice in your head saying, "You're not smart enough, you'll probably mess this up," or "They'll see right through you." Yeah, that's your own inner critic, and wow, does it talk loud. If that voice had a face, let's be honest, we'd probably block it on social media. But instead, we let it move into our mental space rent-free. The worst part? It doesn't always sound cruel. Sometimes it disguises itself as logic or protection. It says, "Don't speak up, you might sound dumb," or "Stay quiet, better safe than sorry." It convinces you that playing small equals staying safe. But here's what's wild. Your brain isn't trying to sabotage you. It thinks it's protecting you. That inner critic is like a nervous parent who just wants you to avoid pain, but ends up holding you back from growth, joy, and connection. One of the biggest confidence killers is the assumption that everyone else has it figured out. You walk into a room and feel like everyone's cooler, more experienced, or more interesting. But guess what? Most of them are thinking the exact same thing. There's a term psychologists use, the spotlight effect. It means we wildly overestimate how much people notice or care about what we're doing. The truth is, everyone's too busy worrying about themselves to be critiquing your every move. Think about that for a second. What would you do if you knew people weren't watching as closely as you think? Would you try something bold? Speak a little louder? Laugh without checking if it was too much? When you stop letting fear of judgment run the show, confidence doesn't just creep in, it rushes. A friend of mine, Julian, always wanted to share his poetry online but was terrified of people judging him. One day, he posted a simple 4-line verse on Instagram, heart pounding like crazy. You know what happened? People loved it. Not because it was perfect, but because it was real. That's the shift. Confidence isn't about perfection. It's about permission. Permission to be seen, to try, to grow in public. When you flip the script on your inner critic, you start seeing those voices not as truth tellers, but as signals. And you get to decide what you do with those signals. Chapter 3. Action builds assurance. Okay, so you've got the inner critic on notice. But let's get one thing clear. Confidence doesn't come from thinking your way into it. It comes from doing. From messy action, small steps, and showing up again and again, even when you're shaking in your Converse. Imagine you're learning to skateboard. You can watch YouTube tutorials for hours, buy the perfect board, and visualize nailing the ollie. But until you actually step on the board, you're just mentally skating. Real confidence comes from falling, wobbling, and then eventually gliding a few feet further than last time. That's where belief is born, in motion. Let's talk micro-bravery. It's the idea of doing tiny things that stretch your comfort zone just enough to trigger growth, but not so much that your system shuts down. Like saying hi first in a conversation, or asking that question during a Zoom call. It's not about leaping off metaphorical cliffs. It's about climbing small hills until you've built the legs for the mountain. There was this woman I met at a storytelling event named Serena. She used to be painfully shy, like wouldn't even order her own coffee shy. One day, she challenged herself to make eye contact with just 3 strangers a day. Nothing crazy, just a look, maybe a smile. Within weeks, something shifted. Her posture changed. Her voice got steadier. She eventually told a story on stage in front of 80 people. It wasn't about being fearless. It was about proving to herself that discomfort didn't equal danger. We often wait to feel confident before taking action, but it's actually the other way around. Action generates confidence. Every time you try something and survive, your brain logs that memory and goes, "See? That wasn't so bad. Maybe we can do it again." The more you try, the more your body and mind recalibrate. You begin to realize that rejection won't destroy you, failure won't define you, and awkwardness is often the birthplace of something real. So if you're sitting there wondering how to feel more confident, maybe don't wait for the feeling. Take the step first. Whether it's speaking up, showing up, or just standing up straighter, take the action. The assurance will follow. Chapter 4. Rewriting your story. Here's where it all starts to come together. Because the stories we tell ourselves shape the lives we live. Confidence is rooted in identity, and identity is built from the narrative you carry. So the question is, what's your story? Are you the one who always fumbles, who plays it safe, who isn't naturally confident? Or are you the one who's learning, showing up, figuring it out as they go? We all carry scripts, ones we picked up from childhood, from society, from people who maybe meant well but got it wrong. Scripts like, "Don't draw attention," "You're too sensitive," or "Success is for other people." These messages don't just sit quietly in the background. They loop over and over until we believe them. But here's the plot twist. You can change the script. You can literally rewrite your internal narrative and choose a different ending. Start by noticing the stories that trigger your fear. Is it, "I'm not good enough," or "I always mess things up"? Then, rewrite it with something grounded but powerful. "I'm learning as I go. I've done hard things before. I don't need to be perfect to be valuable." It's not about empty affirmations. It's about evidence-based truth. Look back on your life. You've faced awkward, scary, painful stuff, and you're still here. That matters. One of my favorite examples comes from a teacher I had in high school who used to say, "You're the author of your own book. Don't hand the pen to fear." That line stuck with me, especially when I faced career crossroads or moments where I felt too small for the dream in front of me. Whenever I feel the old story creeping in, I remind myself, I can revise the chapter. I can add a plot twist. I can give myself the character arc I've been waiting for. Because here's the magic. When you change your internal story, your external life follows. You start showing up in ways that align with your new identity. You take bolder steps. You connect more deeply. You laugh louder, love harder, and lead with intention. Confidence becomes less about being the loudest person in the room and more about being the most aligned with who you truly are. Chapter 5. The Power of Messing Up. Let's get something straight. If you're out there trying, building, living with any level of boldness, you will mess up. You'll send the awkward text. You'll bomb the presentation. You'll say the wrong thing at the wrong time and cringe about it later in the shower. And that's not just normal. It's necessary. Confidence doesn't grow in perfection. It grows in the mess. It thrives when you fall flat, laugh about it, and get back up with your pride a little bruised, but your courage intact. We live in a culture that kind of worships flawlessness. On social media, you see polished highlight reels, people nailing it, glowing up, thriving. But behind the scenes, they're just like us, doubting, screwing up, starting over. The difference is, confident people don't make failure mean something about their worth. They see it as part of the deal. They mess up, and instead of spiraling, they say, "Cool, what did I learn?" Take Jordan, a guy I met in a public speaking class. First time he stood up to give a talk, he forgot his entire intro, froze mid-sentence. We all sat there, trying to silently will him forward. Finally, he laughed and said, "Wow, I just had a full-on brain reboot. Okay, let's try that again." And you know what? We loved him more for it. He didn't pretend. He didn't run. He leaned into the moment with grace and self-awareness, and that was magnetic. Here's the wild part. When you're willing to fail publicly, you stop fearing the moment. Because the moment no longer has the power to define you. It's just data. Just one try. Confidence is like a muscle, and messing up is the weight that builds it. Every awkward moment you survive becomes proof that you can survive more, that you don't crumble, that the world doesn't end, that people actually respect your realness way more than your polish. So the next time you're tempted to back away from something because you might mess it up, flip it. Say, what if messing up is exactly what I need to grow? Because spoiler, it usually is. Chapter 6. The Comparison Trap. Let's talk about that exhausting urge to measure ourselves against everyone around us, because nothing kills confidence faster than comparison. You open Instagram, see someone traveling the world with perfect skin and a six-figure business by age 24, and suddenly, your very normal life feels underwhelming. Like you're somehow behind, off track, not enough. Sound familiar? Comparison is sneaky. It makes us believe we're less than simply because someone else is doing more, has more, looks like more. But here's what it never shows you: the context. The sleepless nights, the years of doubt, the privilege, the pain, the therapy, the mess. You're comparing your raw footage to their final cut. And that's not just unfair, it's toxic. True confidence blooms when you stop scanning the room to see how you stack up and start focusing on your own path. Think about runners in a race. The fastest ones aren't looking around. They're locked in on their lane. Your journey is your lane. No one else can walk it, mess it up, or shine in it quite like you. Back in college, I remember this girl named Tara. She was the definition of cool. Super stylish, straight A's, always surrounded by people. I used to low-key obsess over how easy it seemed for her. Years later, I found out she battled major anxiety and never felt good enough. That hit me like a truck. All that time I was shrinking, thinking I was less, and she was just trying to breathe. You never really know what's going on behind someone's highlight reel. That's why grounding yourself in your progress is everything. Track your own growth. Celebrate your own wins, no matter how small. Maybe you didn't run a marathon, but you showed up for therapy. Maybe you didn't land the dream job, but you took the first terrifying step. That's confidence. That's real. Confidence doesn't come from being better than others. It comes from being better than the you from yesterday. That's the only comparison worth making, and the only one that leads to peace. Chapter 7. Owning your space. Now we're getting into the soul of it, because confidence isn't just about speaking louder or walking taller. It's about ownership. It's about showing up fully in your skin, taking up your space without apology, not shrinking, not dimming, just being who you are without filtering it through what's acceptable or expected. This is the part that's both terrifying and liberating. Because when you start owning your space, you'll ruffle some feathers. You'll trigger people who benefit from your silence or smallness. But you'll also attract people who see you, who align with your realness, who say, finally, someone being honest. There's a quiet power in being unapologetically you. When you say what you mean, when you laugh the way you actually laugh, when you wear the outfit because you love it, not because it's trending. Confidence isn't loud, it's present. It walks into a room and doesn't scan for approval. It just is. I'll never forget the first time I turned down a project that didn't align with my values. I was so scared they'd think I was difficult or arrogant. But saying no, standing in that boundary, it felt like reclaiming a piece of myself. That's what owning your space does. It gives you back you. And the more you do it, the more you realize you never needed permission in the first place. Confidence isn't about being fearless. It's about being full of yourself, the best kind of full. Full of clarity, full of curiosity, full of grounded, I know who I am energy. And that energy? It's electric. Chapter 8. Standing tall when the world pushes back. Okay, so let's say you've done the work. You've started building that inner voice. You've stopped apologizing for every little thing. You've taken some risks, owned your space, and maybe, just maybe, you're starting to feel confident. Like, finally. But then, something happens. Someone criticizes you. A job interview doesn't go well. Your new project gets ghosted. And just like that, the doubt sneaks in again. That old voice returns, whispering, maybe you're not cut out for this after all. This is the moment most people don't talk about, the part where life claps back. Because let's be real, life isn't a straight line up. It tests you. Confidence isn't something you build once and lock in forever. It's something you reclaim every time the world tries to knock it out of you. Let me tell you about Erica. She started her own coaching business after years in corporate. First few months, crickets, no clients, just emails, rejection, self-doubt. Her family started asking if she should just get a stable job again. And it hurt, because it wasn't just rejection from strangers. It was from people she loved. But instead of folding, she doubled down. She studied more, talked to mentors, showed up online even when no one was watching. A year later, fully booked. Waitlist. She became the woman people said she couldn't be. Why? Because she stood tall when it didn't make sense to. That's confidence. You don't get to control how the world treats you, but you do get to control your response. And the people who keep showing up for themselves, even when it's lonely or awkward or wildly uncertain, those are the ones who build unshakable confidence. They don't wait for validation to believe in their voice. They speak it anyway. When you get pushed back, emotionally, socially, professionally, don't let it shrink you. Let it sharpen you. Let it be proof that you're doing something that matters. People don't throw rocks at things that aren't moving. If you're being met with resistance, it's often a sign that you're stepping into something real. Keep going. Keep believing. Because your confidence is not up for negotiation. Not anymore. Chapter 9. The mirror isn't the enemy. Here's a tough question. When was the last time you looked in the mirror and actually liked what you saw? I'm not talking about liking your outfit or your hair. I mean really saw yourself and thought, I like this person. I'm proud of them. For most of us, that moment's rare. Because we've spent years, sometimes decades, picking ourselves apart in that reflection. Too much of this, not enough of that. If only I looked more like them. But let's stop right there, because that mirror isn't your enemy. The real enemy is the narrative you've attached to it, the inner script that plays every time you stand there, measuring yourself by someone else's standard. That voice that says you're not attractive enough, strong enough, put together enough to be worthy of love, respect, success. It's brutal. And worse, it's a lie. You didn't come into this world doubting yourself. Think about that. As a kid, you probably made silly faces in the mirror, laughed at your own reflection, danced like nobody was watching, because confidence wasn't something you earned. It was something you owned. Somewhere along the way, that ownership got chipped away. Maybe from a careless comment, a comparison, a bully, a breakup, society, the algorithm. But none of that gets to decide your worth. Not anymore. Let's reclaim the mirror. Instead of using it to find flaws, use it to find you. Look into your own eyes and say, hey, I see you, and I'm proud of how far you've come. Do it even if it feels cheesy. Do it until it doesn't. Until your reflection becomes a reminder, not a weapon. A real-life example, my friend Lucas started doing mirror talk every morning. At first, he said he felt like an idiot. But after a month of telling himself, I'm strong, I'm showing up, I matter, something shifted. His posture changed. His energy changed. He walked into rooms like he belonged. And it started with literally speaking into his own reflection like it was a friend, not a problem. You can't always control how others see you, but you can control how you see yourself. And when that vision changes, when you look in the mirror and see a person worth rooting for, the rest of the world starts catching on too. That's where confidence really begins. From Within, Chapter 10. Confidence is a choice, not a trait. Here's the truth most people miss. Confidence isn't something you're born with or without. It's not some rare trait that only certain people get to have. It's a choice, a habit, a decision you make over and over to believe in your own worth before anyone else does. And that decision? It's available to you right now. It's easy to think confidence means being extroverted or fearless or perfectly composed all the time. But some of the most confident people are quiet, thoughtful, messy, emotional. What they all have in common is that they decided to back themselves, no matter what. They chose to show up, even with shaky hands, sweaty palms, and voices that occasionally crack. Confidence isn't the loudest voice in the room. It's the most grounded one. The one that doesn't need to prove, only to be. And you don't have to wait for some magical transformation or external wind to step into that space. You can choose confidence before the result. You can say, I believe in me, even if today isn't perfect, even if no one claps, even if I fall. Think about it like this. Imagine your future self, the version of you who's doing all the things you dream about, speaking on stages, leading teams, loving fully, creating freely. That version of you? They didn't get there by waiting to feel ready. They got there by acting like they were ready, by faking it till it felt real, and then doing it again the next day. Confidence grows through motion, through doing, through failing and showing up again, through choosing yourself, not just once, but every single morning. And look, some days, that choice will feel natural. Other days, it'll feel like dragging yourself out of quicksand, but that's okay. It still counts. It always counts, because every time you choose confidence, you're rewiring something deep. You're reminding yourself, I'm allowed to take up space. I'm allowed to be seen. I'm allowed to be enough as I am. So here's your reminder as we wrap up this chapter. Confidence isn't found, it's built. And you, my friend, are more than capable of building it, brick by brick, day by day, moment by moment. Want to see how to keep that confidence alive when relationships, work, and pressure start to pull it apart? Let's move into the final chapters, where we talk about sustaining this belief even when life doesn't make it easy. Ready? Conclusion. Here's the truth. You were never really lacking confidence. It wasn't gone. It was just buried, under expectations, under old stories, under rejection, shame, fear, and years of people telling you who you should be. But now you know better. Confidence is not about being the best in the room. It's about being brave enough to be yourself in it, fully, authentically, even if your voice shakes, even if you get it wrong sometimes, even if people don't clap. Because real confidence isn't built on approval. It's built on truth. Your truth. You've walked through the fear of being misunderstood. You've faced the discomfort of letting yourself be seen. You've started showing up, not the version of you that looks perfect on paper, but the one that's real, alive, human. And that is powerful beyond words. So from here on out, I hope you stop waiting to feel ready. I hope you speak up, stand tall, and claim your space, even when no one hands it to you. Because the most powerful kind of confidence is quiet, steady, and self-made. You've already got everything you need. You've just got to choose it, again and again. And hey, if this resonated with you, you're not done. You're just getting started. So if you're ready to go deeper and learn how to build emotional resilience that fuels unshakable confidence, stick around. Our next video's got your name all over it. Let's keep growing together.